own music to avoid copyrights. Enjoy episode 6.
Welcome back to Hijas de la Grief, episode 6. Um, Thank you for coming back. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we are working on upgrading our setup. So let us know what you think of our background wall so far. We're still planning on adding some stuff to it, but this is what it is for now. But yeah, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. We are two sisters that just lost our dad to glioblastoma 63 days ago, unconsciously keeping track. So, my name is Maria and I'm here with my sister.
My name is Itlali.
And yeah, today if you've been listening to us for the last 5 weeks, we've been doing like weekly check ins, but today we won't be doing a weekly check in because that should summarize how the week was. And maybe we should be keeping it super real and like talking about like the hard days, but I think
I think it's just to the
it's too
point
hard.
where, yeah, it's too hard. And I feel like I personally have moments where, like, I don't even know how to describe them. It's, I don't know. So I just feel like this week we're just not, I don't even know how to say it. Like, we're just
We're
not
not
feeling
well
it
enough to talk
to
about
talk
it.
about it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess that's a better way
and
to put
I
it.
guess for mine, I'll just summarize. Like I am in the stage of grief where anger is involved, and I've been asking God all week to take the anger out of my heart because I know that this is not who I am, and that just pretty much summarizes this week. And I'm just mad that my dad died. I'm not mad at anyone, just literally mad that my dad died. Angry at life, I guess. I don't know. So, yeah, I don't want to talk about it. Moving on.
I have nothing to say. No, yeah, no. I,
Nothing to say with the whole podcast.
well, nothing to say for my weekly check in, I should say. But
This microphone is driving me nuts. This. If you're watching us on YouTube, this summarizes my week right here. Like I don't know what I'm doing. Just mad.
just
We
like
have
us.
no weekly check-ins today. We don't want to talk about it. Mm.
Bye.
So yeah, moving on. We don't have weekly check-ins today. Too painful.
Very painful. So we are going to dive right into
The
today's
most
topic,
painful part. Yeah.
into today's episode, and we're going to talk about the day that it happened. And I mean, like we've said since the very beginning, we've both have very different experiences, very different story, I guess you can say. So, do you want to start? Because
No.
you were the one that called me.
Well, I don't remember. Well, okay, I'll start with my experience. So the day that it happened, um, my dad passed away on a Wednesday, and actually we were there with him Friday through Monday, and he was, I mean, clearly in end of life stage, but stable and okay. And then Tuesday night, he had an episode where his heart was abnormally like beating. His cardiac rhythm was abnormal. Um, and he was experiencing like a lot of shortness of breath and um, yeah, like I had to like dispatch the fire department there and try to get him some help. Um, yeah, so it's hard to talk about, but yeah, so pretty much the hospice nurse called me that night, let me know that his heart rate was like abnormal. So, but still stable. He got on oxygen that night and was unconscious pretty much until the next morning. Um, I got a call from the nurse, the hospice nurse, at around 10. Um, and she let me know, like, your dad is not doing okay. I just came to check him, and describe like all of the signs that she was seeing. And I think if you're going to come over, like, you need to come over now. So it was crazy though, because I was actually at work in the van with two of my coworkers, and I was like, I'm sorry, like, I need to take this call. And I took the call. And then when she told me, like, I don't know, I just felt like my heart sunk. But I just felt like I need to keep it together because I'm with two of my coworkers. So yeah, but I got the call at around 10. Um, Called my mother-in-law, try to get help from her so that we could head out because the kids were at daycare. And I called you, and I don't remember calling you, honestly. Like, I really don't.
Well, because I just kind of put it out there as to why I didn't answer immediately. It was like I work at a very fast paced office where it's like a person after a person after a person that we're helping
Mm-hmm.
at the counter. So my phone, obviously, as a rule, I have it on vibration, and my vibration, I would say, is like zzz. It just goes off, and it's going to wake you up, right? So then I was like, working, and then I just happened to look at my phone, and I'm like, oh shoot, like my sister called me. And then I was like, oh, let me just call you back. But then that morning I had woken up super sick. So I was having a really hard time even helping people, like, face to
Mm-hmm.
face. So I was like taking it very slow. And then I called you. And then I think you didn't answer. And then you texted me. And then I texted you and you didn't answer. And then I called you. And then you said, like, hey, Viviana called and we need to go. If we want to see your dad, we need to go right now.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, okay. Like it took
Yeah.
me a little while to process what was going on. So I was like, oh my god, like I let me talk to my supervisor, like let me call Lauro. I think I told you that. Let me call Lauro and bye. And then I mean you can continue your set and then we can dive into mine.
Yeah, so then I pretty much called my supervisor, let her know I have to leave. She said, like, like, leave. Like, she was like right away, like, very supportive. And I left right away. Like, we literally lost no time. But I do want to add that we were with my dad that Monday. And we were literally just my plan was I was going to come back, work Tuesday and then Wednesday, and I was going to leave Wednesday night. And that was my original plan. Like, I wanted to leave work Wednesday night and then just be with him um, through the weekend, because his nurse had originally told us I do feel like he'll make it to the weekend. But obviously, like, the episode he had on Tuesday night, like, I think it just accelerated things for him. Um, and that was hard, but obviously, God knows why it happened, when it happened, like, like, his plan. Um, pero tampoco tan acelerado. So, yeah, it just, that's why we ended up coming back like a day before, he
Mm-hmm.
passed. And yeah, so then I got home, gathered the stuff for the kids, like, lost no time. Like, we literally were like rushing. My husband was already here. He had already fixed up the stuff. And then we ended up calling my mother-in-law. We were like, hey, we really can't drop off the stuff to you. Like, you need to come and just get it here, please, because, like, my dad is literally dying. So we ended up heading out, and we were 20 minutes away, if that, maybe even less. It was 1:27 p.m. when my aunt calls me and says, like, your dad just passed away. So 2 minutes after my dad passed, I think. Or I think, yeah, I think she calls me right away. Um, and our dad passed on March 25th at 1:25. And I was 15 minutes out. Yeah, I think 15. And then you were 30 minutes out.
I don't remember. I want to say it was more like 45.
Yeah, but we literally missed it by minutes. Like, and honestly, like, if I'm being so real with you right now, I'm like thankful I missed it, you know? Because on Monday, when I said bye to my dad, I mean, I do feel like there was a little bit of incompleteness, and I hate incompleteness. Like, that's my biggest pet peeve. Like, I hate incompleteness. I like to get stuff done, and when I don't get it, even if it takes me a while, I just like to know that there's a end or like a deadline to anything that I do. And I hate incompleteness, and I hate that on Monday when I left, after we said our goodbyes, and I told him like te amo pa, and he said yo también mija. Mind you, he never called me mija, so that should have been a sign. But anyways, and then I literally like grabbed his head, and like, well, I grabbed his head, and I was like, me vas a esperar pa, like, are you gonna wait for me? And he like nodded like yes. So I hate that I told him that, because obviously, what is he gonna say? No, you know? And like, I just feel like I just wish I would have not said that, because I just had like this, like, I don't know, I had hope that I was gonna see him alive again. And even though we knew it was coming, and I thought it was gonna happen that Monday, and that we were gonna be there, I just hate that I wasn't there. But at the same time, I'm thankful that I wasn't, because the way that my aunt and my grandma described to me that and his best friend that was with him when he passed, the way that they described those last like 30 minutes, I do not want to see my dad like that. I mean, I did see him though. Like, unfortunately, there's a video, and I hate that the video was taken. I was not okay with that. And I hate that I saw it like against my will, like the phone was put in my face. So I just hate that I saw that. But I am thankful that I was not there with him in that moment, because just by seeing what I saw on that screen, I just know I would have not been okay after seeing that in person, you know?
Yeah.
And I wish he would have had that like peaceful sleep that they told us he was going to have. Um, but yeah, so sorry, I got sidetracked. But when I finally made it there, like, my dad was still warm. Like, he was warm, and they had covered him already. Like, they had covered him with, like, he was wearing like, well, not with what he was wearing, but he estaba cobijado with uh what is it called? Well, it was a handmade ajuar, like what Juan Diego
Mm-hmm.
wears, and it was handmade for one of the fiestas of our pueblo where we're from in Mexico, and it was handmade. It's a beautiful piece. My dad was covered with it, and I remember getting there and uncovering him. And I was losing it, so I was like, no lo tapen, like, don't cover him, don't cover him, don't cover him. And like, a person in the room was telling me like, no, you need to cover him, and I was like, no. And I like uncovered him, and obviously I was hysterical, so I started like telling him like to not leave me, to wake up. And like, I started like touching him, like telling him to wake up, and obviously he didn't. And then I think the hardest part for me, and that like something that I like broke me in the moment, is I was so focused on my own feelings and like my own, like what I was going through, that I kind of just blanked out and don't remember anybody else in the room until you got there. Like, when I met you at the door. Um, but when Diego, my husband, was next to him, and I remember the look on his face looking at my dad and like telling him like, I'm going to miss you. And then he said, Grandpa Joe. And he's like, my Kaylani's going to miss you so much, Grandpa Joe. And when he said that, I felt like I just grounded myself. Like, I just felt like it's almost like if they would have pulled me down. Like, if I was floating and that somebody would have pulled me down and like, you're living this. And when he reminded me, or when he said that and I got reminded of my daughter, I was like, oh, like, this really happened. And I don't know, I remember, like, it's so confusing. I don't know. I have so much in my head, like, when it comes to that day. But I do remember telling you guys, like, I don't want him to go, because we were waiting on the
Mm-hmm.
funeral home. We were waiting on the hospice nurse to pronounce. We were waiting on the funeral home. And I remember, like, after you got there, which you'll talk about it right now, but after you got there, I do remember once you were settled and like you and Lauro said goodbye and stuff, I do remember like me being like, no, I want him to stay here
Mm.
and I don't want them to take him. So I do remember that.
You
Like,
said it a lot.
huh?
You said it for like a couple minutes straight.
Yeah. So, to me it was like seconds, but I guess I was pretty like, no, he's not going, he's not going, he's staying here, he's staying here. But I guess to finish my part of like those first minutes, something that's like so crazy to me is he was warm for a long time. Like I think just I didn't expect that, and I in my head like bodies cool down fast. I don't know. I've never been like I've never
Mm.
lost a relative that close to me. I mean I have lost
But
we've
like,
lost our
like,
grandpas, but like not lived it like that.
yeah,
Like this
like
was
not be there when it's
yeah,
happening,
like it's
in the moment.
yeah, this was different. And I just thought his body was gonna cool down, and him being warm, I just felt like he was gonna wake up.
Well, to say
20
my side of the story was like, so I received your call and it was like I sat there for, I mean, I want to say it was seconds. I mean, it could have been a minute or two. I don't know. I don't know how long it was, but from when I hung up to be like I remember getting up, like sitting there and like, oh my God, it's happening. And then it's like, oh my God, I need to go to my supervisor. So I just get up, and mind you, like I even felt really rude and stuff because my supervisor was talking to one of my coworkers,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Like, and I said the lady's name, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, but hey, like to my supervisor, like I need to go. And mind you, like, I had put her up to date, like everything that was going on, and like she knew everything. So I told her, like, hey, they're kind of telling us that we need to prepare. This was the day that we got back. So on Tuesday, I had talked to her, and I'm like, hey, they're kind of telling us to get prepared. So like, if I ever get a call, like in the near future, like what's going on, and I need to leave, like no questions asked, basically. Very nice. She was like, okay. And then that day I was like, I need to go. I really need to go. So I grabbed my stuff, and like on my way out, she was like, are you okay? And I'm like, it's just, I think it's happening. And she's like, okay, okay. So then I left, and then, well, obviously, like, I mean, you're a commuter too, and like I commute. So we had to drive,
Mm-hmm.
we had to still make that drive. So it was like I hopped in the car, and I was like, oh my God, like it's happening. It's happening. This is not happening.
But not to interrupt you, but I just want to say, like, do feel like you were at a disadvantage distance wise because my commute is like on the way to my dad's house. So,
Yeah. Whereas to where mine is not.
yeah.
Like I was, and in my head it was like, okay, on my way, like I'll call you back, and like I'll call Lauro, and like as I was walking into my car, I called them. I'm like, hey, like this is what's going on. Like, are you coming? Are you staying? Like at this point, it was like, if you're staying, you're staying. If you can't leave, I get it. I just, in my head, I was like, I need to get on the road right now. Like if
Mm-hmm.
you're telling me you're not coming, I'm going to drive straight there. Like I don't care. I don't care what clothes
That
I'm.
was me.
I don't care what clothes I'm wearing. I don't know. I don't care how I look. Like obviously, like you don't care about this stuff in the moment. He's like, no, no, like I'm gonna come with you, blah blah blah. And in my head, like when I cooled down after a few minutes, I'm like, oh yeah, like you need to come with me. What am I thinking? I can't leave by myself. So then I still drove to the apartment, and I was like, I guess. I mean, I'm waiting for him. Let me pack some clothes. Like in my head, I still kind of had some hope
Mm-hmm.
that I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna have a pair of PJs to sleep because my dad's gonna be fine. And I don't know if it was just me having hope or me, I don't know what it was, but I'm like, I'm gonna pack, and this is gonna distract me for a little bit from the time that I get there to the time that we leave.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, I mean, I guess minutes, I don't know. And it was like, okay, we're on the road now. And it was so crazy because we were just talking about my dad, and we're like, and then like we were having like a really like, nice conversation. And I was just like telling Laura about like memories that I had with my dad. And then you call me, and I looked at my phone, and my phone's connected to my car. So he saw the call coming in too. And I stared at it, and I was like, oh shit. And I answered, and I already knew. I already knew. By the moment that I picked up your car, I just knew. I was like, oh, it happened. It happened. And oh my god, now it's like I can't believe like, we missed it by minutes. But when you called, I don't even think I said anything. I don't remember.
think you did. I don't remember.
I think I just remember hanging up. Like I answered and I hung up right away. And I just went into shock. I didn't cry. And I just went into shock.
Honestly, same.
And I was just there, and then like, you know, Laura was holding my hand. And we were just like, we kept obviously kept driving, and I remember him crying. Like, you know, I'm sorry to put it out there. But I remember him crying and like wiping his tears, and I'm like, pull over, like we need to pull over, like you can't drive. And then he's like, no, we're gonna get there. And I'm like, okay. And I was just in shock the entire way. The entire, like, whatever, 40 minutes. And then we got there and I'm like,
Do you remember like what you saw, like what your scenery was? Because
Mhm.
for me, like I remember we were passing like through a grape field, and it just looked blurred. Like I felt like when my aunt called me and she told me, I was pumping actually. I was pumping, and I was like literally like just, I don't know, like I had just told Diego, you need to slow down, because I don't know what it was, for like for a couple of minutes he just got the urge to speed. Kid you not, he was over going over 90. And I just felt like we were going so fast, so I was like, and then I like looked and I was like, hey, you need to slow down, like you're going over 90. And he's like, and he I remember him doing this like, I know. And I just felt like he was desesperado. Mind you, we didn't know he had passed yet. Um, and then my aunt calls me, and then I just remember like everything became blurry. So that's why I'm asking you, like, if you remember, because for me, like that in like that moment, I literally felt like like everything started spinning, like it was blurry, like everything was blurry.
I think, well, I do remember
And the reason why I think it was a grape field is because I remember the blur, and like it was
the
like everything
lines
is aligned.
and everything is
Yeah.
like grape around that. I do remember exactly what it looked like, and I remember exactly the point. And like, if we're driving over
Mm-hmm.
there, I'll tell you exactly where we were at when it happened, when you called me. So it's very vivid, you know. It's very
Yeah.
like it was just land, and then we had just passed like the gas station and stuff. So it was like we were going uphill, and you know, like all
Mm-hmm.
you saw was green, 'cause, like it's like the little mountains, the little hills. So yeah, I remember it very clearly. Unfortunately, and then I just remember like getting to my dad's house, and I don't know if I had my chanclas on or if I was putting them on. I don't even know, but I was like, when I remember getting off the car and I'm like trying to push my feet, you know, like as you're walking, I was trying to push my feet into the shoes that I was wearing. And then I remember like getting
Sorry,
there.
I'm like yawning.
You're fine. And I remember getting there and I was like, I'm like, no, like I'm gonna walk in there and he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. And I guess that on my way into the room, I left my phone somewhere. And like I said, I was in a lot of shock, and I think I still am in a way. But I remember like standing at the door and like looking, and it was like obviously, you know, all the family, like all our immediate family was there. And then I was just like, no, like I saw you with my dad, and I'm like, no, like this is not him, and this is not him. And I know like I had like a panic attack. Like I don't even know what you would, you know, say that it was. I'm not sure. Like a panic attack, like I was in really shock, like a shock attack. I don't know if that's a thing, but it was just like, and I lost it. And like I said, like I was actually really sick. So when I started crying and like stuff, it was like even very hard. Like I felt like I was choking at a point because it was like, oh, like my throat was like closed. So I was like having on top of, you know, like the crying and like realizing that my dad had passed, it was like I'm sick and I feel like I'm choking. And then it's just like I didn't want to go inside, and I'm like, no, like I don't want to. And like I remember you and my mom came, and my mom was like, you need to breathe and like you need to relax, and you were like, no, like it's okay, like you need to come inside. I think at a point like you pulled me, and I remember like I don't know if it was my mom or Lauro, but I remember like either one of them kind of behind me, kind of like you need to go inside the room,
Yeah.
because I was just standing at the entryway of his room. And then I finally came inside, and I remember it too, like, you know, obviously I touched him, and it's not that I was scared, it was just that I was in shock, like touching him and realizing that he was not there anymore.
Mm.
Um and I was just like, oh my god, like this is it, like this is like happening. And I don't really remember much. Like, I honestly don't remember if I cried more. I don't remember what I did. I think at a point I kind of just walked away from there. And I remember somebody giving me a water. Like, it was from there on, like, it was a blur. But I do remember, like, I was very shocked. Like, I had, like, this little attack. And it happened when my grandpa passed away, too. Like, the first time I saw his body, it happened. So I feel like in the back of my head, after, you know, what happened with my dad, I'm like, oh my God, like, both of them now are gone. And it was very much in the back of my head, like my dad suffered and then now I'm suffering with my dad. And I'm like, oh my God, like, what is going on in this world? And after that, I don't remember how I reacted. I don't.
Honestly, I think after your, like, you saw him and everything, I don't remember a lot. I just remember, like, me not wanting them to take him. And
I remember that.
not even, I don't know, like, I don't, like, I was just going
I think at a
crazy.
point, like, obviously when you first said it, you know, we were all like, because I feel like after a couple minutes, I was like grounded and I was like, oh, okay, like, this is actually going on. And now there's all these additional steps we have to do, like get in contact with the hospice nurse or the funeral home, all this other
Mm-hmm.
stuff. That it was like, I remember you saying, like, oh, like, I don't want him to go, I don't want him to go. And then at first we were like, you know, like it's literally happening right now. And this is
Mm-hmm.
okay for her to be acting this way. But then after a while, you kind of said it like a little girl. Like, obviously not to bash on you, but it's
No.
kind of like when you have a kid at the store and like they want a toy and they want a toy and they're not going to leave the store without that toy. It's like you were like, I don't want my dad to be taken and I'm going to stay right here and me and my dad are going to stay right here. That's kind of like what it was. And I remember like my heart breaking because I'm like, I don't want him to go either, but we need to let him go. And in my, from then, like, not being, you know, part of you and my dad, it was very like, I remember moving you at a point like, he needs to go. Like, you need to step away. Because they explained to us that he had to remain covered because he had already
Mm-hmm.
gotten like the blessing from the Catholic priest, I want to say, or the
Yeah.
Catholic, I can't remember the person. So they had to keep him covered to keep the holy or something about
Yeah,
our
I don't,
religion. I can't remember.
honestly, I don't remember, but
But the religion
I
and
just
stuff.
didn't want him covered because I just felt like him being covered was like the okay, he's gone.
Yeah.
And I felt like if I uncovered him, like he was gonna just wake up,
Yeah.
you know? And I will say, like, maybe too graphic of a description, but if you, I don't know, viewer discretion is advised. I think that when I like got close to him, like I think when I snapped out of it and I was like, okay, this happened, I like was like holding him like and telling him like wake up, no me dejes papi, no me dejes, no me dejes, no me dejes. And I remember that. And then I like looked at him and I lifted his eyelid and his eyes, well, obviously, you know, they like his eye was not there. Like I'm assuming they rolled to the back, I don't know. And then I like saw his tongue and his tongue was in the back of his throat. So I
Mm.
was like, okay, he's gone.
I
You know,
think,
and I think that's when I was like, okay, I'm ready. We need to call a hospice nurse. And I think that's when I snapped out of it. Like I remember it very vividly. I think that was like my moment of like, shit, like this happened.
yeah.
And we need to call the hospice and we need to call a funeral home. We need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that. And then, yeah. So,
Yeah. I think, like, because, you know, like, you kind of go down to, like, say your goodbyes and stuff. Um, like, when I was coming up from, like, the hug, I didn't want, I wish I wouldn't have seen
mm-hmm.
his tongue, but I did. And I was like, oh.
Yeah, it
And it's
happened.
still a very vivid
Mm-hmm.
picture in my
Yeah.
head that I'm like, oh. Like,
And I don't think I had
it's just
mentioned
like,
that actually. I haven't told Diego, I haven't told you, like,
yeah, no.
you know.
Yeah, I saw it and I think it was the moment that I saw that I was like, okay, let me move. And
Yeah.
then I remember somebody gave me a water and I was like, okay, the water is my excuse. And I'm like, this is happening and I need to get it together. And like, and then it was like, I was telling you, like that happened. And I mean, well, obviously you had this other experience where like you were feeling some sort of way. But then I do remember you just kind of snapping out of it and us having to cover him. And
Yeah, like I covered
it
him,
was,
and we called a nurse. She got there, uncovered him, pronounced him, and then she asked, like, "Do you want to change him? Like, is this how he's going?" So then I was like,
okay, we were like, what do you mean?
"What
Is
do
this
you
how it's
mean?
going?
Like, I didn't know we were gonna change him, or we had to." And then I was like, I think I snapped out of it, and I was like, "Well, you know what? My dad did not like to go out mugroso."
Yeah.
Like, so, like, let's do it. So then, like, we changed him, but I remember, like, his smell when we were lifting his. Well, first of all, I wanted him to go comfy because she did say,
Mhm.
like, oh, people dress them up how they would leave the house.
Mhm.
And I was like, I remember looking at her and saying, like, well, I know this is gonna sound dumb, but I want him to go comfy.
Mhm.
Like, I want him to be comfy. And he was wearing a Reebok set
Mhm.
when, like, we put on a Reebok set. It was like a gray shirt and navy
So it's,
sweats.
mhm. And we even put clean socks.
Yeah, like clean socks.
Mm.
We didn't put underwear on him. But yeah, clean socks. But I remember, like, when we lifted his arms to put his shirt on, like, I could smell the struggle. Like, when later on, when our family members told us that he struggled, like, they thought that was struggling to pass, which I've been doing research on it because obviously I spiral and I like start thinking ahead and like do research. According to what I've read, he was like unconscious, so he doesn't know. Like, he didn't know he was
Mhm.
struggling, but according to, like, what they saw is like, oh no, like, he
He
struggled to
struggled.
death.
Mhm.
So anyways, like, I just, like, that smell, like, I'm never gonna forget that smell. And then immediately I was like, my dad hated leaving the house without deodorant. Like, he was a big
Mm.
deodorant person. So I like went, grabbed his deodorant and put his deodorant on.
Deodorant.
And I like rolled it on him because I was like, there's no way my dad is leaving the house smelling like that. And I don't know, like that, it was heartbreaking, but I was like, he would like not like that.
Yeah. I feel like you added something else.
What?
I can't remember. Like you I remember you grabbing something else besides his deodorant.
Oh.
I
Oh,
want Nivea.
Nivea.
Yes, the lotion.
Yes.
The lotion.
So my
Cuz they
dad
wanted to
loved,
put the other lotion, remember?
yeah, my dad loved Nivea. That
Yeah.
was like his go-to crema.
Well, I had a picture right here in case you don't know what it is.
Nivea. So my dad loved Nivea, and I like grabbed the Nivea
Mhm.
and put it on him. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it
So
was, huh?
yeah, like
Cuz
I could literally smell it right now.
Because a hospice, like we said before, we did mention, they give you everything that you need. Everything that
Mhm.
you ask for, everything that you need, they give it to you. So we had this other, it was like, well, I don't know what brand it was, but it was like
Mhm.
this other lotion. It actually smelled pretty good. And it was
And
very
it was
hydrating.
helping with his because since he was in bed all the time now, his skin was like getting like a little dry in areas, and
Mm-hmm.
they gave him like an extra hydrating like balm. It
Mm-hmm.
was not a lotion, it was like a balm.
Oh,
Like a
yeah.
gel of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Which was, it smelled pretty good. Like I remember
Mhm.
smelling it, but then we were like, yeah, no, like he's leaving.
Yeah, he's
Like
gonna wear his
he's,
Nivea
yeah.
and his deodorant.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
and then after that, I don't know if you remember because I feel like there's a lot of little blackouts, like, for
Mhm.
me. But after that, it was like, okay, he's changed. And then, like, like the nurse ended up like talking to us and then left. And it was like, okay, like, we're waiting on the funeral home. And as we waited, it was like, we had to cover our dad again. Like, even now, though we had changed him, we covered him. And in between, it was like, okay, like, we mentioned before the services were not where he passed away, like in that county. They were out of county. So we had to like deal with all of that. I mean, what
Which
kind of.
we had prearranged.
Well, I wasn't
Según.
yeah, but before that, so it was kind of like, mind you, our dad is still laying there in his hospice bed, has been changed into comfy clothes, has been covered, and now we have to help my mom pack.
Oh
Our
yeah.
dad has not left the house yet, because this funeral home, we'll talk about it. This funeral home, I don't know where they're at. I don't know if they got lost because they're definitely like 6 minutes away from our
No,
house.
So what happened is that they were trying to screw us over.
But that was after. This was when the nurse had called them and said like it
yes,
happened.
yes.
So she was like, "We're just wait around, like
And
we're waiting around."
This funeral home is less than 5 miles away from my dad's home.
It's 5 minutes away.
Let's point it out.
It's like what's 5 minutes away? 2 miles?
A mile.
A
and a
mile?
half?
I don't know. But it was like while we were waiting for this to be arranged, it was like my mom needs to pack, bring out the suitcase, let's go find our brother's clothes, because our brother wasn't there, which we'll either talk about now or in the future. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, our dad is still there, but now they're telling us that we also need a funeral outfit, so we're looking for a funeral outfit.
Well,
our father is still there.
Backtrack to the point of like we didn't have to leave his house as urgent, like
Yeah.
as urgently as we did. I just got into the mindset of I do not want to be here. I want to leave.
Yeah.
And we need to arrange everything tomorrow. Like we are doing this, we're leaving. And I remember my other parents still being like, well, you don't want to spend the night, like do you want to stay? And I was like, no, don't want to be here. And then I remember coming, like Diego came and he like hugged me and I was like, are you okay to drive? And he's like, yes. And then I was like, I don't want to go, I don't want to stay, I don't want to stay. And I lost it, started crying.
Mm-hmm.
And I just wanted to come home to my kids. Like that's frantically, like I wanted to desperately leave. So I like told my sister, I'm gonna call the funeral home, I'm gonna do the arrangements, blah blah blah. So yeah, just want to point out that we didn't have to leave.
Yeah. I don't think
I
any of
don't
us
know
could
if,
be
like,
there though.
I don't know if I like pushed it, like I want to leave now, but I do remember telling my other parent like, either you come with me now or you're staying, because I'm not staying in this house. I want to go home and I want to be with my kids.
Yeah, and I think at a point she was like, all right, like, yeah, let's all go. Because I don't think any of us would have been okay if we would have even stayed the night. Because it was like, obviously, like, you guys were like, oh, we're leaving. I'm like, oh, me too. But none of you guys are staying. I'm going to. You guys are not leaving me here. But it was like, so in between it all, it was like, we were first trying to do this, and then the funeral home didn't want to come. And then we called, and then I don't know if you want to explain what happened, because
Yes, so I was on the phone with the funeral home, the one in Porterville, like the local one. And I thought it was going to be as simple as like, we're going to come pick up the body, because mind you, we had arranged this weeks before my dad passed, right? Weeks.
yeah, because it was when he was admitted
it was
to
like
hospital.
so weeks before, we already knew the arrangements. They already knew that he wasn't going to stay there. They knew he was going to be transported. Like everything was like settled, decisions were made. We knew,
Or so we thought.
Yeah, you know what, yeah, here we go. Like if you're watching this, I'm just kidding. So yeah,
No,
so,
but seriously, if you are watching this,
no,
please
but
hear us out.
yeah, so my dad is there, like deceased. The people finally show up and they're outside, and then the guy's on the phone telling me like, no, I need you to come and sign, because we need to embalm him, so pretty much like prepare the body here. And then I'm like, no, this is not the agreement. The agreement was that you were going to take him, refrigerate him. Oh my god, I feel so like, it feels so weird talking like this, but
That's the terms they use in funeral homes.
but this is what the agreement was, they were going to refrigerate him, hold him, well, not hold him, but like save him. I don't know.
Take care of him.
Yeah,
Take
take
care of
care
him.
of him. I don't want to talk about my dad like that, but they were going to take care of him until the next morning when the funeral home from here picked them up. That was the previous arrangement, like previously arranged on paper, done, set in stone, literally. And then no. So that day they're trying to like, we need to prepare the body here and it's going to cost you X amount of dollars. I forgot how much. The original fee for them to pick him up was $475. This was just for them to pick him up.
No, 425.
Oh, $425. Well, at the end it was 470. Oh, well, whatever.
At the end, it was 500.
Oh, okay. Well, $425 initially to pick him up, hold him, take care of him until the funeral home from here goes there and picks him up. So when it happened, they're like, "Oh no, we need to prepare the body here. We need to do this. We need to do that." So like I kind of freaked out because I'm like, "That's not the arrangement." And then what if the funeral home here doesn't want him anymore or doesn't want to do it because he's been prepared there, since he was gonna be embalmed. So then I like call the funeral home here, and I know like we've worked with them unfortunately twice before for my husband's side of the family. And I was like, hey, like they want to embalm my dad over there, like what do I do? They're saying this, they're saying that. And then like he honestly, shout out to him, because he was so good at like first they were like, well, he's leaving and like let me get him back. He came back into the office, got a hold of the funeral home, then calls us. Like, this is literally like my dad is deceased. The people are outside saying, like, either you make a decision now, we take him, or we're leaving and we close in 10 minutes. Because it was, no, it was 4:50 and they closed at 5. So they were being no patience, nada. And we're like going bananas. And then finally, thankfully, the funeral director from here was like, gives me a call and says, don't worry, I handled it. You don't gotta pay him anything. I took care of that bill. We'll add it to your bill here, obviously, but you don't gotta worry about it. You don't gotta go there and sign anything, because he wanted us to like go to the funeral home there, sign papers, and then he's like, you don't have to sign anything. You could sign everything here with me tomorrow. And I was like, okay. So then we finally arrange everything. Then you're on the phone with someone, and I'm on the phone with someone. I remember we were both like on the phone going crazy.
Well, it was still with the funeral home because I had the local one from Porterville on the phone. You had, and I had them on hold, and then you were with the funeral home here, and then that's when we were like kind of going a little bit back. I don't know if you remember, but it was like we close in 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and you need to be here. And it's like I'm over there looking for the keys for my dad's car because we only had Diego's car. But it was like I don't know why we weren't taking, because he was loading. So I'm like, I'm looking for the keys to my dad's truck, and we're like trying to get the cash, and it's like, okay.
Oh yeah, because it was cash. He's like
cash only, like no cards, because he's leaving because they're
and
closing
mind
in
you,
5.
we were getting pretty frantic and upset, because I do remember, and like not to call you out or anything, because it was a pretty crazy moment.
I was getting mad,
but you were getting mad at me, or like at
I'm
the
like,
not at me, but at the
car.
situation.
Yeah.
And then we were like trying to leave, and I remember you being like, I thought you arranged everything. And I was like, I did. And then I think that's when we were on speaker on both phones. And
talking to each other. They were talking to each other.
Yeah, so they were talking to each other. And then like I remember like looking at you were like looking at the phone and rolling your eyes. And I was like, yeah. Like, I don't know. I was just so out of it. Like I was so done. They were talking to each other, and then we muted it because they were talking to us, and then the one from over there was talking to you, so we muted it so they didn't hear what we were discussing. And then the guy from here had enough and was like, I'm gonna call him
directly.
So then they arranged it, but it was bad. And then like you were trying to leave, so you were gonna go sign.
Well, I told you get in the car. You wouldn't get in the car with me.
I know.
Nobody wanted to come with me.
Well, yeah.
They were going to send me by myself. And I'm like, no, come with me. Somebody hop in the car.
And then
I think it was also like, well, how are we going to go sign if they're going to pick him up? And we're like, what do we do? Like,
yeah. And it was almost like, then he said something about, well, if you don't come and sign and drop off the money, then he's going to have to stay overnight because nobody's going to come pick him up.
Yeah, because they close in 5.
And I was like, what do you mean we're going to have him here dead overnight? Like, that's crazy. Like, we're not going to do that. And I think that's what triggered everything, like the rush. They were so insensitive. Let me say that much.
Very.
Like, crazy. And then when we changed them, then they come to an agreement. They fix it. The people outside were leaving. But then we're like, no, come in and take him. They've arranged everything. So they picked him up. They like, mind you, during this entire experience that I'm about to say, I thought you were all standing behind me. So I'm watching them cover my dad, asking me, then they're like, is it okay if we wrap him on this bed sheet? Which I'm never going to forget the pattern of that bed sheet. And if it was a bed sheet from Costco, if I ever see that pattern ever again in my life, I will literally cry and have a meltdown. I will never buy that.
I think it's
sheet.
I think it's a seasonal. Like I think I've seen it at Costco before.
I don't want to see it ever again, but it's blue and white. But anyways, I literally see it every time I close my eyes. So like I don't want to like randomly I'm like at work typing and then I'm like flashback. I'm like, ¿qué es esto? Like I don't want to do this. Anyway, so then they cover him, wrap him up, and then the guys were like pretty a little awkward. They were doing their job being respectful, but then they're just standing there next to like the little rolling bed that
They're gurney.
that they transferred him into, and they're just standing there staring at me, and I'm like kind of outside of the door and they're like staring at me, and then I'm like, okay, like I'm waiting for them to throw him out, and then he's like, would you like to cover him or do you want us to do it? And I was like, oh. So then I go inside of the room and I'm like covering him, and like my hands are like trembling, like I literally remember doing this, and then I like stopped, and then I like dropped it. It was a black blanket, and I like furry blanket, and I like dropped it, and then like I held my dad, and I like looked for his eyes and then like his nose, and I like touched his nose and went back down to his mouth area, and then like I kissed him, and then I kissed his cheek, I kissed his forehead, I kissed his nose, like I just kissed him all over, and I was like saying goodbyes, and then like this is like I remember telling my dad like, don't be, no tengas miedo, don't be scared, you know, like we're gonna see you soon. And little did we know it was gonna be 2 weeks, but I was like, I don't know that he knew. Obviously, he doesn't know. Like he's diseased, but in my head, I was like, don't be scared, don't be scared, okay? And then like, are they gonna cover him? Like he's gonna be cold? I don't know. So then the guy's like looking at me. He's like, take your time, and I'm like, okay. So then I'm like hugging him, and then like I pick up the thing and I like covering him, and then I cover him, and then they roll him out. Well, they start. Then I leave and I like stand outside of the door of his room, and then I look around and nobody's there. Like I'm doing it by myself. So then everybody's like spread out or whatever. So then I like remember just running outside and all the way to like the front of his house, and then just watching them bring him out.
We all told you we didn't want to be there.
Well, yeah, in the
And-
moment I was like,
And it was like, yeah, like, because I was like, oh,
I was
no.
abandoned by my
No,
family.
We told you. We told.
Well, yeah, I didn't
Well,
hear.
first of all,
I didn't hear you guys in that moment. I
first
don't
of all,
think
I
we were
didn't.
hearing anything.
I didn't know you can do all that. But then when they did tell us, they're like, you guys want to come? No, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know.
I'm standing outside. I'm standing
Catch me
outside. I was like, I'm not. I don't want to be there. And I didn't. And I did tell you, like, I'm not going.
Well,
You
I
can do
didn't
it.
hear. I didn't hear. So, well, actually, now that I think about it, I think you said you could do it, but I didn't. In that moment, I didn't. I thought, okay, I'm doing it, but everybody's standing behind me. Like these people got my back.
Nobody
Yeah,
had your back.
Nobody had my back. So yeah, I was doing all this by myself, and when I realized it, I was doing it by myself. I freaked out. Oh, it was right before I was like covering him, and when I stopped, that my hands were trembling, and I looked at the door, and nobody was there, and I was like, and then that's when I dropped it, and I stopped. I started kissing him, and I don't know. I panicked, like it's just me and you, and you're not here technically, like.
Well, when the guys from the funeral home,
Well, yeah,
they
but
had
they're
your
just
back. Right? They count.
yeah. So then I remember like
Shout out to
running
guys from the
out.
funeral home. Thank you for having her back.
Okay.
We did announce and let her know that we could not do it. None of us wanted. Not that we didn't. Not that we didn't want to do it. It was just like we didn't want to be there for it. Because that was my personal feeling. I was like, I had told Laura, like, I don't want to. I don't
But you
want
know
to. I
what?
don't want to go in there. I don't want to.
Like
I can't watch him be covered. I can't.
looking at it now, it's like older sister syndrome. I don't think that that's a thing, but I will say like it is part of being the oldest. You know, like having to do everything first and alone sometimes. You know, because it's just how it works. Like it's how it is. And like I'm no shaming on you because you're my little sister. And well, we have a brother who was on a school trip at the time that it happened, so he wasn't there. But like I'm kind of like used to it, like doing like the hardest thing alone, I guess. Like it's just the thing. Well, it's the I'm gonna go off topic, but honestly, like thinking about it now, I'm like, well, me tocaba. Like, it was my job to do it. Like, and I don't
Mm.
expect anybody else to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in a way, it's almost like even if in the moment I would have been conscious and you would have been like, sister, I can't do it, which you did, but I didn't hear you.
Mhm.
I would have been like, okay, because I need to do it. I need to be there. And even when the funeral arrangements, like I did most of the calls, but
Mm.
you did like the legal, like all of the legal stuff, and that's a lot. But yeah, like off topic, but even the calls, I think like me having to call everywhere and then call you to tell you, and then you calling other stuff like the hospice people and like the
Mm.
paperwork and all that, and then calling me, like I just felt like, well, this is my job at this point, you know? And
Mm.
then I wait for you to give me instructions on paperwork and stuff. Um, since you were in charge of the legal stuff, still are. Just let me point it out there. So yeah, and then when we go outside and I see them taking him, and I actually snapped a picture.
Did you actually?
I did, and unconsciously. Okay, mind you, I'm like a big picture person. I'm always taking pictures. I always
Mm.
have my phone in my hand. Um, like I'm always taking pictures, and then I just take pictures unconsciously at this point, because then I go back at the end of anything and I'm like looking at pictures. I'm like, oh, I didn't know I took this. I didn't know I took this.
Mm.
So the day after, right before we went to the funeral home for the arrangements, I was looking at my phone and I snapped a picture where he was being rolled away. And he was taken on a van, on a Dodge van,
Mm.
which was, it still is very traumatic for me, because those are the type of vans that I drive for work. It was a white Dodge van, Caravan, or whatever it is, the model. And I have not touched one of our white vans at work since my dad passed away. And when I do need to reserve a van, I make sure I reserve the gray one. Not,
The white
and
one.
it has to be the light gray one, because later on, when we did the arrangements,
Mm.
we ended up finding out that my dad arrived as we were leaving, and he arrived in a dark gray van. From what we think,
Mhm.
because that's around the time we got the call that he was there, whatever. So I'm like, yeah, I cannot drive either of those. I need to drive this gray van, or I will have a freaking anxiety attack when I'm driving this van, because it's so vivid in my head. Like when they were driving away, and I'm like nervous laughing right now, because I feel like the anxiety coming back to my body of when he was taken.
Taken. Yeah.
So that was chaotic.
And I think it
All
was
this to
like
say that you left me alone.
the funeral guys had your back. Yeah, no, we all told you though. Like my mom was
I think
like,
Diego told me too. Now that
I
I'm
think
thinking
like
about it.
and we actually, it was not just like I can't do it. No, it's like we all individually actually told you why. Like I actually remember like my mom said this. I don't know what Diego said. I don't remember hearing him, but it was like, and I told you, and then you were like, why not? Come, and you pulled me. You
I
pulled
don't
me.
remember.
You were like, come on, and I had like my phone in one hand, and I think you pulled that hand, and you were like, come on, and I was like, no, no. Like I was already, obviously I was like mad like at the situation, and I was like, no, I'm not going. I'm not going. And then I remember I
I'm
told
like
you
I'm all
why,
anxious
and
now.
I'm like, no. And then you were like, ah, and you walked away all mad, and I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, like,
You see, I
and
don't
as you were
remember.
walking away, I'm like, I'm sorry. I was like very traumatized. I think in the moment of like everything that was going
You
on, I'm
know,
very scared.
like for me, I think I do remember Diego saying he can't do it. I think. I don't really know. I have to like think about it now. But I just really thought that y'all were still at least standing like
Mm.
at the door.
And then it was like my grandma still like, cause I, she said too like she couldn't do it, and then I can't remember if it was me or if it was my tia, but she was like, somebody asked her, and then she was like, I know I don't want to, like I'll watch him from right here, I'll watch him when he goes outside. And she was sitting like at a chair in the living room, and when she, sure enough, like when he was being taken out, she was sitting there. And we were standing in the hallway, but we weren't standing close to the door.
Yeah, and then he was taken. We were such in a rush to leave. Actually, I left almost immediately. Actually, no. So the elotero passed by, and I remember screaming at Diego frantically, I want an elote. But this is because the elotero were like in my dad's neighborhood, best esquites ever. Like hands down, best esquite I've ever tried. And I remember the very first time that I went to Porterville that I had an elote. Not the very first time I went, but the very first time that I heard the elotero, my dad was like, like this señor makes the like unos elotes bien buenos. Those were his words. I was like, yeah. He's like, see. And I was pregnant with Kehlani, so he bought me one. So every time we would go to Porterville, I would buy one. You know, and I don't know. Immediately, I was just like, I need that. And I hadn't eaten all day, mind you, either, because we didn't have lunch, nothing. I just felt like, okay, I need it now. And in my head, I could hear my dad saying like, "Estos elotes están bien buenos." Like these, like
They're really good though.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they're really good.
And it just tasted so good. And then immediately after that, like we left. We said, "Peace, we're leaving." I said bye to my grandma, bye to my aunt, left. And then you still stayed because hospice had to come pick up their stuff. And they wanted to leave it there. And we were like, we don't know when we're coming back, yo. You need to come get your shit.
Yeah.
We didn't say that.
We were very nice, like, hey, can you guys come pick up your stuff?
Please.
And we explained the situation, like what was going on, and we even told them like this is already on record. Like it did get to the point where you guys had already left, and I was still waiting. I was still on hold.
I think we were already like over an hour into the drive.
I think you guys were almost home.
Yeah, when
I would just got on the road.
When you were like, oh, I'm leaving.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was like,
I remember this because I remember like literally being like, que apenas viene? Like she's barely leaving. And then my mom was like, what? And then like turned to the back and I'm like, she's barely leaving the house because they barely picked it up. Yeah. And I was like so mad and like frantic, like spiraling. Like, why are you still at that house? I don't know. I was like freaking out.
No, we left the door open. I did not close it till we left. The mosquitoes and the flies, whatever insects are out there, they were getting in the house. I did not close the door. I told Laura, we are not closing that door. We are only closing it when we leave. And I mean, from what I remember, we didn't close it because I was like, oh. And then I was like, oh, the mosquitoes are getting me. And he was like, close the door. I'm like, we're not closing the door. It's going to stay open.
And to this day, I have not been back in that house.
And you don't want to be back.
And
it feels really weird.
I mean, originally I wanted to go and like grab a few of like my dad's stuff. But then I was told I wasn't able to or entitled to anything pretty much that my dad owned. So that was a little heartbreaking. I'm still dealing with that right now. Like I'm still like trying to like accept like, okay, like I'm not going to have a lot of his stuff. Like, you know, I just want the scent so bad. You know, like, I don't know, I just crave it. Like, it's weird. And, like, I have, like, a polo shirt here that he, like, it's here. Like, I don't know how it ended up here. I think the day we were just packing his clothes because we were trying to find an outfit for him. And then there's, like, another dress shirt. Like, the dress shirt doesn't really smell like him anymore. But, like, that yellow shirt, I've been, like, trying to like sniff it, like smell, but it's going away kind of. So I'm kind of like but I'm not ready to go back, you know.
I've been back twice, not really because I wanted to, like I kind of had no choice. So the first time too, it was like, I don't want to go, like I was kind of like, you know, literally like that was playing in my head as I was walking through the house. Like, all right, let's go, come on, you know. And I made sure that we could do stuff as fast as we could that first time because it was just a couple days after, and it was very weird. And like, you know, we actually ended up there
4 days after
for longer than I wanted to be there. And you know, all this other situation, and we're like, okay. And when we finally left, I was like so relieved. Then when we came back, it was 2 weeks after it had happened, and I think it was just harder. And I'm like, ah, like, you know, every day that I walked in this house, it was like my dad was sitting right there on the couch, and like, you know, we would have dinner and do this and do that. So I think everything just kind of replayed in my head, but it was very hard. And I mean, I still need to go back to grab a lot of personal stuff that I still have there. But I've kind of been pushing it back, and I always find an excuse. It's like Kehlani's first day of ballet, and like, oh, Kehlani's second week of ballet, and I don't even think I was with you the second week, but it was like she's going to ballet.
No, you did. You were there.
Oh, I don't remember. But then it was like, oh, we're doing this, or like, oh, this is more important. Like, I'm gonna go get coffee over here. It is not more important than my personal stuff, but it's more like like I don't want to go back to the home just yet. Like I don't feel like I'm ready for it.
Detached.
Well, I mean, I have a lot of stuff that I need to get out there and throw out.
Maybe in the future we'll talk a lot about it a little more. I was just never like a fan of that home.
Yeah.
I think it's just because he left so far, you know, or I mean, there's a lot to it, but I'm not a fan of that place. And now that my dad passed, is like menos. Because I think like, yeah, that was a lot. I think especially because every time that I would get there, usually I would get there at night. Even before he was sick that I would visit, I would get there at night. And then, you know, like now it's like I go and you're deceased in the bed. And usually it's like, yeah, pa, you know. And he's like, ya pues duérmete, cabrona. You know, because he was usually asleep when I got there. And then I don't get that this time. So, yeah, I don't want to go back anytime soon. And if I go, it will be against my will. Actually, I have to go back against my will because I have to take my daughter because she thinks that my dad is still there. And then she kind of like realizes like, oh no, he's in a box. He's in the garden. But then some days she'll be like, Grandpa Joe's at his house, you know? So I guess she has to go in.
I think, obviously, I'm not a little kid. Like, I'm grownish. But
because
I still...
let me just point it out. I am 5'5", and growing up, I thought I was tall, right?
Yeah.
But then I learned that that's average.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister is like shorter than me, so tallish.
So has...
grown.
She literally has a little sister.
Yeah, that's kind of cool because I actually have a little sister. But my little
offensive?
But my little brother is not little.
Yeah,
Is that offensive? But yeah, he's really tall. He's
tall.
over 6 feet tall. So but you have a big sister.
And a big brother, even though he's younger than me. So,
Yeah.
not cool. I don't like being the shortest one. Anyways, besides the point. What were we talking about?
So that's pretty much the day it happened. And yeah, we talked a lot today, but there was a lot.
It's just like, obviously, you know, we're trying to take you through the stage of how it happened, why it happened, how it happened. You know, like whatever details we've shared with you. We're trying to do it as I would say kind of ready-ish, you know.
Yeah,
like
and we also want to like have other topics, you know. We want to like have this become a regular podcast eventually, and kind of like talk about like daily life, you know, other things, and how our grief ties into it, obviously. But I actually wanted to dive into a topic today, but my sister made me realize that we needed to talk about this first, you know, and
because it's a way of kind of like diving in, like to explain what happened, because it's like me and you know what happened, you know, like our partners know what happened, like, you know, your kids are obviously they're little, but you're trying to make them understand, but it's like everybody else watching doesn't know. They don't know how we feel. They don't know this, they don't know that. Like, we're basically strangers to them. You know?
Yeah, and this
So
is
it's
just
like...
the beginning. Strap on.
So it's like we're trying to get you guys to know what's going on before we
got
dive.
tea, we got drama. We're a whole novela in here.
So the Rosa de Guadalupe. So it's like we want to just kind of explain everything, kind of like the foundation, right? Like everything has a foundation. We're building our foundation. We want to tell you guys, and we want you guys to know why we're here, what brought us here. how stuff is. And like you said, eventually we'll dive into more stuff and it won't always be sad. At least we'll try not to be.
It won't. Or maybe we'll have
Yeah.
breakdowns in between the happiness, but
Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, like it's going to be really hard. And I mean, for those who have lost somebody, they get it. It's very, it's very hard to always be happy, you know. It's like it has its ups and its downs, but unfortunately, life continues.
mm-hmm.
Like it's like our dad passed away and we have to go to work and we have to do this. You have to do this with the kids and the kids have this going on now. And it's like everybody knows life continues and it's like I mean, realistically we can sit here and cry all day every day. But our bills are gonna be racking up. We're gonna be miserable. Like we can't do that. Like you have family, you know?
I mean, I can't just sit here and cry because my 3-year-old will be like making sure I'm up.
So it's very hard and I mean like life continues and you'll kind of be here along the way for whenever we share more stuff.
Yeah, so thank you so much for tuning in into episode 6. Yeah, we'll see you in the next one.